I'm Eric Newton, and this is The Together Show. We all know relationships take work, but what is that work, and how do we do it? As a former divorce lawyer, I've watched thousands of couples break up firsthand. Having seen the worst in relationships, I decided to try to help couples stay together. So on this show, we talk to real couples and find out what love really looks like.
You are saying you are comfortable living your life at a level of intimacy 4 out of 10 with your husband.
But I think that
Honey, I have clients I feel closer to than a 4. A 4 is like the person who makes my coffee at Starbucks.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for listening. Today's episode is part 2 of an interview with Trevor and Megan Blair. If you haven't heard part 1 of this interview, you should probably go back and listen to that because this episode picks up right in the middle of a discussion about intimacy and connection. Now to recap, in the last episode, Trevor and Megan shared about a recent disagreement that they've had, and Megan has just finished explaining where she thinks that she falls on an intimacy spectrum. And she's also told us a bit about what she thinks she has to learn from Trevor about the issue of intimacy. And we're picking up this story right at the point where Trevor is about to tell us that he's quite upset with what Megan has just said, and most of this episode is about working through that process. So with that, let's go to part 2 of our interview with Trevor and Megan Blair.
if I could be more comfortable and more naturally emotionally expressive, I think that we would end up in a better place. And so I think that's another thing that I struggle with is, okay, I can send Trevor a couple of text messages during the day, right? Right now they're not very emotionally expressive. If I don't want it to feel false or forced, maybe not false is the wrong word, but forced, because that doesn't feel genuine or like the right thing to do. And at the same time, I think that sometimes you have to work on stuff, and you know, if recognizing that I could work on being more emotionally expressive would get us to a better place, then that's highly worthwhile.
What are you feeling right now?
Well, I'm worried that Trevor's going to cry.
That's sad.
Oh, why? I'm not sad. What is it?
4 is sad. That really shocked me.
But I thought you said I didn't think that you would
Rate it
go
even
that low.
I mean, it really, I'm sure you read it in my face. Like, that was like,
I don't want you to feel that way.
4 is like check for a pulse.
No.
You are saying you are comfortable living your life at a level of intimacy 4 out of 10 with your husband.
But I think that
Honey, I have clients I feel closer to than a 4. A 4 is like the person who makes my coffee at Starbucks.
that's a total. Your 4 is not the same as
It means
my
there are
4.
6 degrees higher.
Right, but okay, so let me listen to me, right? So I think that we are 1 through 10 together when you take where I am happy and comfortable. My spectrum would be 1 through 5, right? Just by myself. So I would be 1 through 5, and I'm at a 4 for my 1 through 5. But I think
No. That's a totally different scale.
Well, I know, but that's
Because that's
how
an
I
8
thought
out of
about
10.
it.
You said 4 out of 10.
Yes, but 4 out of 10 for both of us combined when we're together. I don't have 5
That would
to
mean
10.
if I'm coming from a 7, that means you're at a like 0.5. This, and I'm glad you asked the question. This is the biggest shortcoming in our relationship. Because if you're a 4 or a 0.5, look how much heavy lifting I'm doing to get us even remotely close to where I would like to be. And I don't think I'm asking much. I mean, as lame as it sounds, I'm older. I've been in more relationships. Trust me, I am not over communicative. I've been in enough relationships to know what a standard, normal, healthy level of communication is. But a 4, when you said 4, that like broke my heart. Nothing in life at 4 out of 10 is. What do you do in life that's a 4 out of 10? When you fill out surveys, if you give anything a 4 out of 10, you're not going back. But it clicked. Like that's my daily struggle, is to pull you kicking and screaming out of the 4 state. That's why I make all these jokes about Android and robot and Tundramatic. I mean, I'm joking, but obviously the jokes are coming from some place. And I know, and I get this feeling a lot, and I'll admit, I sweep it under the rug, but there's a lot of times I'm like, God, can I not just get some energy out of her? Like when you just walk in the room and not even say anything, and then walk right back out. Like if we're sitting in the room here together for like, I don't know, like half an hour, or like reading the paper or something like that, and then I'm going to like get up and go to bed, I'm like, all right, I'm cashing in, I'm going to go up to bed. I will say something. I acknowledge someone's presence when I come in the room, and I acknowledge their presence when I leave. You will oftentimes just silently get up and leave the room and go to bed. And not tell the other person that you are going through life with, hey, we're here, and now I'm going in a different direction. It's like there's almost like 2 objects that are like not even in the same orbit at times. That's what communication does. It brings you into alignment. But 4 out of 10, I would love to live my life at a 9. I mean, I don't like literally have to be in her underwear drawer, but no, this is my wife. You should know more about me and feel closer to me than almost being inside your own body. And let me tell you, a 4.
Can I freeze it for a second? There's so much going on here.
No. We're gonna blow through your hour and a half. Sorry.
I don't even care. This is the best thing. I love being here with you two. By the way, thanks for being so vulnerable.
We got more beer too.
I'm curious, before we go to the content and the feelings that you're having, I'm curious about Megan. When he first reacted, you had an emotion right away when he first reacted, and it's changed, and I've seen you go through an arc. Can you track back and do you notice what they were?
I mean, I know that I feel scared right now because I feel like I've never had a disagreement where I felt scared with Trevor before. So that's really scary and bizarre. When he first reacted, I think my first reaction was, no, I want to fix this. You're reacting just to the number 4 and you're not understanding my emotions, and sort of you're pulling what I said into how you read it, but not considering and like being very explosive about 4. This is horrible.
Yeah, that's the I noticed that reaction in you, and that's like the intellectualization of it. What was the feeling?
I don't know. I think I was surprised. I think I was caught off guard and shocked at first. And then I just thought, no, you're not understanding what I really mean by 4. That you didn't hear me say, and I'm happy and in a great place, and I would be, because I am happy, and that, 4 is a good place for me.
And that's what almost hurt even more.
Well, hold on, because I there's a whole thing here too that I want to talk about, but I'm really curious about the.
I don't feel like that gets across. I guess that was sort of my initial thought was that you're not understanding that you think this is a bad place, and I was surprised to hear and shocked that here is a bad place, and I was thinking, no, 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 this is not a bad place, and that, you know, the only way that I can sort of define it is sort of I by myself am 1 through 5, and so therefore I'm very happy and content, but that I think that the spectrum becomes 10 together, and that's a big plus.
Hold on. The numbers get it gummy.
Okay.
The thing, tell me if this is right. What I thought you just said was you had this sudden experience of, oh, shit, this went horribly wrong. I thought I was doing a good thing, and it's a bad thing for him.
I didn't expect that it was going to be a bad thing for Trevor.
And then you were sad, and then you were scared.
Mm-hmm.
And did you even... I saw the sadness. Am I making it up?
I think you may have seen concern, because I could tell that Trevor was getting really upset and holding it in.
Yeah.
And so I think I was concerned. I don't think I was
And then what? Okay.
sad.
So you were concerned, and then where did the fear come from?
Because what I was sensing was I've never had this sort of fear that, oh, we can't just tackle whatever problem comes along together. I mean, I was hearing Trevor say things like, I can't lift you from a 4 to 8. That's too much for me. And that was terrifying.
And what I heard you say in the content before was, we're in one place, and I don't want to be here. I want to be in a different place. But I don't know how to get there.
Well,
is that accurate?
It's not that I'm in one place and I want to go to another place, because I am very content and happy where I am. I think it's the awareness of, oh, there's another place that exists that I could even get to go to.
That we should go to, or we could go to.
Right. But I think...
But you did say you wanted to go there, so I might be missing something.
Well, I want to go there now that I have the awareness that there's somewhere better to go.
But you didn't even know it.
Right, because if you're at a 4 out of 5, sorry to go back to the numbers, if you're at a 4 out of 5, you're very happy and content, and so you're already in a really good place. You don't even realize that there's so much better and so much more out there, because you're not in a bad... I don't feel a 4 out of 10. I feel a 4 out of 5.
And then you met Trevor and realized there were 6 whole more points, but have no access to how to get to them.
Well, I think it's hard, because I think it's really fighting against, you've been living 34 years one way, and some of the things that we've talked about before, like the getting better about dealing with conflict and communicating about that, I think that all that is sort of combined, right? Because it's all about communication.
Yeah.
And so I've already made strides in communication and been really happy with the results. And I'm sure that there was a time 5 years ago that I would have said, well, that's just the way that I process disagreements. I need to spend 2 days and to think about it. I'm sure we talked about that. And I need to spend 2 days and think about that. And that you're talking about, you just want me to do it your way. And I've gone through the process where I may not do it Trevor's way, but I've learned and am so much happier and so much better. So when you say you don't really see how you could sort of unlock those emotions and get there, I don't really believe that that's true, because I've already sort of done it on this other front.
So you can do it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Of course. I mean...
Okay, now, T-Bear. What I want to
His
know...
nickname is Squirrel.
Is it really?
Yes,
Do
it
you
is.
use that?
Yeah, I do.
Rarely.
Okay.
Maybe not as often as much as
Well,
Trevor
I
would
feel like
want.
maybe I can't call him Squirrel, though. That's your name for him or something.
That's probably fair.
And if you were my buddy, it'd probably be like T-Bone. No, I wouldn't say
Well, you know, I've got
T-Bone.
buddies.
I'd probably call him
T.
T.
Blair. Why do you guys call him T. Blair?
T. Blair. All right. Anyway, Trevor. Did you hear... So when you reacted, I wasn't looking at you, and I wasn't noticing that you were having emotions growing, and all of a sudden you reacted.
It happens here.
In his lower jaw.
He puffs it out. It's like he's got nuts in there. He holds his lip. It doesn't quiver. He just holds it. He holds it differently.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's subtle. I didn't even know I did that.
So I didn't see it, and when he reacted, I thought to myself, "Oh, I wonder if he heard what I heard, which was she's in one place but wants to be in another place that before she didn't know was available until she met you." Did you hear that bit?
Not that entire message. What I heard, and again, I don't want to get stuck on the numbers, but your question was quite clear. 1 to 10, she chose 4. We didn't say take the scale, cut it in half, and apply it to one partner. I mean, because if you're a 4 out of 5, that's an 8 out of 10. I would have not reacted in the least. Now that said, this is big, prickly, uncomfortable stuff, but I am very glad it has come up because we are now putting literally we have our finger on my one beef in our relationship, and I think it packages it all up nicely. That if we can make progress on this front, my level of happiness will go up tremendously.
You transitioned so fast. My goodness. It is really lovely to observe.
But did I answer your question?
Oh, yeah, but I have more. But a minute ago, you were in a very different place.
Oh yeah, you see that?
What just happened? Trevor, what just happened?
Well,
It's crazy.
I was hurt.
Yeah, you were hurt, but you were almost like, I don't think we can do this.
That's what he said.
You actually said it. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it.
That's why I got scared.
You got scared and started to cry. I didn't believe it, but you did say it.
Your question was about potential and what did you see? And your question was about, did you hear her talk about the potential? And when you restated it, you did bring that out.
But she did say it.
Okay. But I could not get the 4 just clobbered me.
The 4 clobbered you. What did it mean to you? I know it now. Distance, I get it. But what is
2 things that scared me. One was that she recognized just how distant she was. And 2, that she was happy being that distant. And that's what scared the shit out of me because I'm like, if you A, are that low and B, have no intention of coming up the scale and want to stay that low, then I'm fucked. Because if I want to try to live my life at an 8.5, I will forever be losing life into the chasm of 4 points, the 4-point chasm between us. But we have recognized that there's progress that can be made. And like I said earlier, the stuff that is important to me is it's almost symbolic, but it's not symbolic. It's little tiny day-to-day things. I'm not asking for a lot. But I generally feel like in terms of the amount of energy that's put into this relationship, it's 2/3, 1/3. Just in terms of enthusiasm. Not work and effort, but just enthusiasm and energy.
Yeah.
And that's what grinds me down.
And in this moment, are you feeling like that now there's something that can be worked on with regards to that ratio?
Yes. We talk about this, it's kind of like the recurring issue, but we just sort of nibbled at it from the fringes. It pops up every now and then, like I said, that's why I make all those Android jokes. I'm joking about it, but when I make the joke, it's because I'm actually feeling like, oh, come on, let's be human. Let's step it up a little bit. Let's share some warmth and intimacy. You don't make a lot of stupid jokes. even though they're stupid, and you're like, there's no point in that. The point is just to share a moment together. Stupid jokes bring you together because you don't make stupid jokes with someone that you are not super close with.
Would it be okay if, in my process of finding ways I can be more emotionally expressive, they're different than the ways that you do them?
I'm open to anything. As long as it brings us closer and helps me get some energy back. But this is definitely the most direct we have ever addressed this issue. And so as challenging as it is and, as emotionally exhausting as this has been great. And I'm not saying we're at the end of this conversation by any means, but I'm just saying that this is all good.
Well, on this level, it strikes me that there's lots of ways you guys can play with this. You could give her a list of things that you already recognize as being emotionally expressive and expressing connection, and she can just practice doing them. And you, Megan, can come up with things that actually feel natural for you and actually just have conversations and propose them and try them and be playful with them. And you guys can work on this for a while. I'm really curious about the fear. I mean, you guys figured something out really cool here, but I'm still curious in general about the concept of fear. I think fear drives so much of what we do as human beings. In my experience, it's usually ungrounded. Unfounded is maybe the better word. We have our fears. They feel real. We live by them. The society gives us support that they're real. Our friends acknowledge that they are. It's how our parents behave, but when we really actually dissect them, a lot of times they disintegrate. Mm. And I'm really curious about the fear that you have of pouring your energy into a black hole. What would it mean if you did pour your energy into a black hole about you?
That I'm not capable of change?
Ooh, I didn't expect that. What is that? Tell me more about that.
Well, that I know what needs to be done, but I can't change, and I'm just going to keep shoveling away.
Oh. So like you're doomed to what?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not happy in my job, and yet I keep putting in 60, 70 hours a week. And I'm trying to take steps to get out of my situation, but it has taken years just to get to these baby steps that I'm now working on. I'm in a job right now where it's fine. Clearly we have a nice place and, we have gear and we travel and, material from a material standpoint, life's fine. We're not killing it, but it's fine. But that there is something potentially much better, if not financially, just emotionally more rewarding too. But are we trapped in this cycle where we can't break out of the fine mode? That would be similar to what you're talking about of just dumping energy into a black hole in perpetuity.
Oh, now I can see why it has even more energy with Megan, because you have this story that I'm already pouring so much energy just to survive running uphill with the work, and the very little energy that I have left after that I'm pouring into this quote black hole. Oh, okay. All right.
And I don't want to define our relationship as a black hole at all, but that's the way I feel when I have to even make more, when I have to put even more energy just to get a laugh out of her or just to feel some kind of intimacy, because, we spend all day at work with strangers and colleagues. You come home, you want intimacy.
Yeah.
And if you come home and you're only getting a 4 out of 10, that's not enough. You're still left feeling empty.
Yeah.
But now that said, this is the very first time, because I'm always the one saying, I would like you to do this, I would like you to do that, da-da-da-da-da. I've thought this through a lot, and I have specific things I think that would make me feel better. But this is the first time you have said, well, what can I do in my way that might meet your needs, but would be more organic coming from me. That's the first time that has ever been mentioned right here.
That's pretty cool. The thing I feel it's incumbent upon me to point out is these complaint dynamics, however, are never one-way streets.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not a victim of her perpetrations. It looks like that to you. And when you tell the story, actually, it kind of looks like that to me. But it's not true. So more along the lines of where does the fear come, or what's the fear and is it real? Can you see a way in which you're perpetrating this dynamic and continuing it?
Maybe because I'm beating a dead horse. I'm just making the same. I need you this. I need you that. I need you that. Like
Yeah.
nagging.
You're
I
nagging.
need more
But
energy. I need more energy. I need more energy.
yeah. Okay.
Maybe that's my. I mean, I guess my fear is that will never change.
Yeah, but what if it never changed?
But relationships continue to grow. I mean, good relationships continue to grow. And I think Megan's example about how now we don't fight, and when issues do come up, we discuss them rationally and we move on. And that makes me feel really good. Like, that's one of the things most impressive about us. And then also, I think she's definitely made me a better person. It was a key plank in our wedding vows. Like, I am a better person because of her.
Totally.
Total. And I mean, we joke because I can't think of a better term for it, but literally, like, she has helped extract the douchebag out of me.
And is she a black hole?
No, the douchebag, that can go in the black hole. That's fine. But no, and there's moments of brilliance, and I just want more of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes the light escapes.
See, that's funny. Make more corny jokes.
But I'm kind of curious about that. Like, what if, I mean, just to repeat your question,
Yeah.
like it's I think a true answer, but it's a bit of an easy answer to say, well, relationships, change and evolve. But like, what is the, if you put all this energy in, and I didn't find authentic ways that are natural and comfortable for myself to be emotionally more expressive, what would that,
Why even ask the question?
Wait, what's your question?
just same question that you asked.
What was my question?
What if nothing changes? And I
Why
just
are
feel
you
like I'm going through life.
afraid? What's the fear behind putting in all this energy and not getting anywhere, not getting any improvement?
Yeah, because we can keep going deeper than he went, right? Because he said that he was like, well, the first fear was distance with my wife, and I want to have intimacy with my wife. So that's a good surface level fear. That's like fear number one. And then a parallel fear to that was I have a finite amount of energy and I'm pouring it into work, and it's already hard, and then I have to pour more into this, which is like another good surface level solid fear. It's the one that you're conscious of. And you might be asking, definitely what I wanted to ask was, okay, what's the fear below those fears? And the way you ask yourself that question, or the way you look for the answer, is you say, if that thing that I'm scared of came to pass, what would that mean about me or about life?
I always try for the best I know I can do and the best that I know is possible. And that's why I'm really trying hard on making a career move. And, even through racing triathlon for 10 years and just, every aspect of my lifestyle, it's, go big or go home. Anything worth doing is worth doing well, that sort of thing. And if I just accepted that, it would mean I'm half-assing my relationship and I'm accepting a life of mediocrity.
Ooh, that's a good one for men. All right, and if you had a life of mediocrity, then what?
check out. You're done.
And then what?
You're just a fucking loser. I mean, even the word mediocrity gives me the creeps.
Yeah, and if you're a
It means
loser,
you've stopped trying. There's no heart in it. You're dead inside.
and then so what?
That I can't think of anything worse than going through life, giving up dead, and just being dead inside in a zombie. Or just half-assing anything, especially your relationship.
And a loser.
You're a relationship loser.
Yeah, that one seems like it stabs you deeper. Being a loser.
Well, they're all kind of just giving up. I mean, it would be giving up.
Okay, now
That's I think what really bothers me.
that giving up, zombie, dead, lost, loser feeling, tracking that back in time, has that been something you've been avoiding for a while? Is it something you felt at some point in your life?
I think it is connected, but I think it would be more sort of the inverse in that. I mean, even though, yes, you could argue I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, nothing has actually really come easy for me. And I feel like everything I've achieved, I've had to fight for tooth and nail. And the only reason I got there is because I busted my ass 3 times as hard as the guy next to me. I kind of see even because I'm only 5'8". I mean, I just see myself as always kind of like the scrappy underdog who kind of ekes it out in the end, not necessarily through natural talent, but through sheer grit, determination, effort, and practice. And so it means everything I've gotten because of effort level and trying and trying and trying. So to then check out on my relationship would be the antithesis of everything that I've lived my life by, achieved, accomplished, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, maybe I'm beating a dead horse, but why is it so important to try to achieve so much, to try so hard?
Well, it feels good, but it makes you a better person. Right? Like, education makes you a better person. Travel makes you a better person. Having a fulfilling career, but also having a career where you have impact in the community, where you create jobs, makes you a better person. It allows you to help other people.
I get all that, and I get the value of it, and I don't mean to diminish the value of it. But my question is still the same. Why is that important?
I think achievement gives me fulfillment.
And the inverse is loserness.
And again, going back to the job thing, seeing my dreams go unrealized literally eats through the lining of my stomach.
Yeah. And see, that's not the case for everybody. So the question that I'm playing with and I'm really toying at is, what is the thing that you as a human being, if you got deep down with your unconscious mind, what's the thing that you have to avoid at all costs?
Just not giving life my best. We've only got, for this go around anyway.
Is there a fear that you have about yourself? Something that you think you might be that you're trying to hide or get rid of?
I think you nailed it with the accomplishment thing. I mean, I think one of the things that Megan has really helped me do is be more comfortable with myself and be more grounded, be more authentic, focus more on being genuine, less on the whole accomplished thing, right? Like when we met, she said, I tried too hard. But being genuine doesn't necessarily mean you stop striving. It just means you I don't know, do it in a way that's more, for lack of a better term, humanistic.
Yeah.
I think it's also the strive for authenticity. Because I do feel like I'm meant to do more than I am doing.
That's interesting. Are you scared that you're a loser now?
By most standards, I'm fine. I'm successful enough, but I just feel that this, whatever this internal motivation level is, it knows that I can and should be doing something much bigger than what I'm doing right now in my career.
Yeah, I get that. You feel like you fucked something up.
Or just have missed a boat or haven't gotten on the boat yet, or
Yeah.
and you feel like I'm like, here's a path. I could either stay on the easy path, which I am now, and not make any changes in my life and, be just fine. But we weren't put on this earth to be just fine.
Okay, so if you take that fear that you've missed some boat or you've messed something up or you haven't seen the boat that's waiting for you or something like that, you're not feeling that potential. And you track it back up to today at work, and then you've got your feelings with your job. And then you move over and you look at your relationship. What does that make you feel about your desires in the relationship, seeing that connection?
Ignoring this intimacy thing and not trying and working on it would be the equivalent of just staying in this job forever. We both know it's an issue. We both know it can be better. And yet we sort of have talked about it here and there, but we haven't really made an effort. And we sort of jokingly, I make my robot jokes and we just kind of laugh it off. But I think maybe now we are both fully appreciating the gravity here.
Okay, hold on. I missed a point that I needed to make. 2 points that I needed to make. I'm not saying that you can't create intimacy in your relationship or that you shouldn't. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do something different in your career. I'm not suggesting either of those two things. In fact, to the contrary, I think that creating intimacy is going to be pretty easy for you guys now that you've established it. And I think that making a change in your career is super doable, given who you are. It's pretty obvious. But the fear that you're operating from is slowing your shit down. That's the point I was trying to make with that whole, that's what I was going to get to with tracking down the fear. When you're operating from that fear, you're trying to overcome a fiction. The fact is you're not a loser. You didn't miss a boat. She's not a black hole. You guys don't have a gaping deficit that's going to lead you to be miserable. That shit is all totally made up. But it's rooted in this thing that you made up earlier, however many years ago, when you were a kid, who knows what, somebody said something to you, you're like, oh shit, I got to be the best. I don't know how it came about, but it did. And it's had you be very successful and healthy and a good looking guy. That said, you're trying constantly to overcome that you might not do it. And because you're trying so hard, the problems seem worse. They seem more significant than they are. They have more weighty. They have more gravity. And so it's harder for you to just do the things.
Well, you've lived this, right? I mean, but for that tragic accident with your partner, right? You probably could have stayed on your track in perpetuity. You're probably making very good money and very well recognized in the legal community, et cetera, and built a very successful practice. Would have been all that you know you could be? Maybe not. I mean, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass.
No, but what's the point? What's the point?
You are obviously incredibly gifted at this stuff. And I don't know if you would have to go back to school, get a PhD just so you can have that, label on the book kind of thing. But you could really do something with this. I mean, you took two total strangers and in the matter of 90 minutes have basically reached all the way down into our souls somehow without causing, screaming and crying and all that sort of stuff and brought us back up here again. So you've made that shift into you are now building your next, right? I'm not doing that yet.
Right. Okay. But I don't believe anything about myself anymore. Let me see if I can make a parallel between you and me. So,
and I haven't had that level of professional tragedy. Like no one has stabbed me like that yet. Like I haven't had that calamity yet, but you know, something inside you changed. You addressed the fear.
I stopped believing the fears is the difference on a visceral level. I'm not saying I don't have them. I definitely have them. And they jump up and I have fights with Aubrey and they're stupid and loud. And I think about my ex-partner and I get furious for an amount of time and it goes away. I just don't believe them anymore. And when when something comes up like that, a really discomforting feeling, I'll go in and root down to it like you and I just did with yours. And I'll get as deep down as I can. I'll keep tracking them until I just can't track it anymore. Usually it ends up at something like abandonment and death, which I think is the ultimate human fear, and everything else is an abstraction built on top of those. And the more I do that, the more ethereal they feel, and I experience them as being a lot of fantasy. So then the question arises for me when I start looking at how my fears are really pretty empty. The question arises for me, how do I know what to do now? Because for my entire life, I did things based on, oh shit, I got to do that thing. Because if I don't, that other thing is going to happen. Everything I chose to do was in some way avoiding some bad outcome. And now, I just don't really believe in the bad outcomes. They still come up and I feel them, but I just don't, I lost that connective tissue. And so the things that I choose to do now feel really natural. They just feel easy. You know, choices like this podcast is just so easy. By the way, I have no idea how I'm going to make an income from it. I think I will. But it's not because I am scared of not having money or I'm scared of what people think of me or I have to have a status in society. I do this podcast because I want to do a podcast. And it's so natural. And so when I see you, you're a charming, honestly, good-looking,
You noting all of this?
engaging
I know
guy.
all that already.
She totally knows it. I mean, you have so much going for you. You've got good taste. Like
That's Megan's.
you've got discipline. Like you've got all the stuff. But you're running so hard to get away from an imagined monster. All your energy is going into getting away from an imagined monster. And what I'm saying is, when you notice that monster is just bullshit, it's a chimera. You made it up. It doesn't matter. If you really look closely at it and bring it to the light and understand what it's grounded in, you're going to see it's just a fantasy. Then you have all these skills that you've developed over the years in running from the monster. Probably a good thing you did, because now you've got, strong running legs. You've got all these skills, you've got all this energy and all this talent, and then it just finds its natural expression. It just comes out. And it'll be the same thing in your relationship. Your relationship will just blossom because you guys are not a black hole. And she wants so desperately to connect to you. She was terrified when she thought that you weren't going to be able to connect for the 2 seconds that it looked like that might be the truth. You guys are set. But as long as you're running from the monster.
Makes the monster bigger.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you stay on the same path. Well, this is where we're stopping the interview, folks. Thanks for listening. To give you a little more of the story, we did continue our conversation for another hour or so, and Trevor began to see that the degree of urgency behind his otherwise perfectly legitimate requests for Megan is really rooted in some very old wounds from childhood, as the urgency is for all of us. And after listening to this interview several times now in the editing process, I find myself left with a simple reminder that this ongoing process of maturing that we're all engaged in really takes everything. Each discovery about ourselves begets yet another discovery. in an ever-unfolding process that can be, on the one hand, narcissistic, and on the other hand, it may be the path to enlightenment. Thanks for listening to the show. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to us on iTunes. It makes a big difference when you do that. If you have any questions or comments, or if you'd like to be on the show, please reach out via one of our platforms. You can find our website at www.together.guide. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/togethershow. Twitter and Instagram are both @together_show, or you can email me at host@together.guide. Our producer is Charlene Goto. Our web designer is Courtney Munna. Our art director, and my one and only, is Aubrey Pick. Thanks once again to my guests, Trevor and Megan. Guys, I don't know if I'm up for it, but what do you think about a triathlon? That's all for today, folks. See you next time.